good. Super excited to be here. It's been so weird doing these lives, and because I'm looking at everybody, I can see everyone on my screen because I have it like played it so that I can see every single person. But there's like a bunch of blocks, and I'm like, I don't know if they're there or not. So I'm gonna try to keep it entertaining so that it's basically I'm competing against Netflix and
Yeah,
food.
there you go. There you go. There you go. Yeah, so
Almost.
tell us like a little bit more about yourself in terms of your journey. I saw your post today. You talked about deciding one day to really just like, you know, become who you want to become, take things into your own hands. So yeah, tell us about your journey, some of your struggles, some of your successes.
I mean, I've been like extremely lucky because like I have an amazing mom. Like my mom has been like really like my role model for my whole life. So my mom has never gone to school, and we come from like this really poor village in Nepal. So I'm just happy to be in Toronto, to be honest. But so like my dad's a Sherpa, so my dad actually his name is Ankami Sherpa, so that's how I kind of named it after him because
Okay.
back in where I'm from, like everybody wants a boy. So so for me, me being able to pass on the family name through my company, it's that's been great, and obviously my business is Social Sherpa, so that's it has like my pretty much it's been inspired by my family and like working for my helping my mom get her business online, making being able to kind of empower her economically. That's how I kind of got it landed in the social media space. But yeah, so that's me, and I went to UFT. I ended up teaching actually so randomly. Somebody came to my workshop, and then they had told me that there was an opportunity at Trios College, and then I said, and they were like, "Do you want to teach?" I said, "Really? That's it?" And then I ended up teaching this year. It's the first time that the program is actually being taught, and it's for digital marketing. It's a diploma program. So yeah, it's hopefully yeah, I'm kind of like excited to be teaching online. So I'm teaching in the evening, so which is great. So this is kind of like nice to actually talk to talk to everyone and more conversationally. So without much further ado, I'm gonna kind of like share my screen because I do have little bit of little things prepared for everybody so they can walk away with like some worksheets, that they can do on their own
Okay,
later.
dope. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I am gonna share my screen now. Hopefully there's nothing private. Okay, good. All right, so if everyone can see the screen, I'm going to start a little bit like more conversationally. This was meant to be a presentation that I've been doing so far. So today's worksheets. So basically, first I'm gonna go through, how to get started on social media for your business as a huge differentiation between doing it for yourself versus doing it for your business. And then the second portion is kind of sharing a content ideation process with you guys so that you can diversify your content on social media without the headaches. So, because I find that a lot of times when you're about to post, people actually have great ideas, but they don't end up posting because it gets too personal for them. And then that's when, you'll get afraid and you back off, especially for a lot of us that are trying to build something online. It can be really tough. So we'll go through that next. So let's just get right into the first portion. The worksheets, if you just go on the contact form, just write social media worksheet, I'll send it to you. Our Pema will send it to you. She's our social media manager. And then so let's start with this worksheet. So the first worksheet is getting started on social media for business. So number one differentiation is just the fact that with your business, you really have to step back and think about your business objective, why you're going online, especially on social media. And Kareem, you're a huge digital marketing strategy guy, so you completely understand this portion. So, I mean, so in this case, I always say, okay, first you have to ask yourself, okay, what is your business objective, and what does that look like on social media? Because for instance, if your business objective is to increase sales, because most business owners, their main objective is always, hey, I want more leads, I want more sales. But when you're in the face of COVID-19 quarantine, and now that you're finally getting started on social media, what tends to happen is that you can't shock your audience. Like, you can't just go on social media and say, okay, I want sales, and here's the offer. So I usually start with this worksheet with anybody who's already on social media or who's just getting started, because the first thing we all want to do is obviously ideate, okay, what is my business objective and how can I warm up slowly and get them kind of interested, provide value to the customers, and then so in turn get their trust in my brand, and so they will purchase from my business. And this tactic has worked for me. So I've been leveraging social media for for most of my uni year, and then going into my business for past 3 years, and before that working at an ad agency. And it always boils down to this first portion, which is why I'm emphasizing a lot on this. And the second portion is obviously identifying your customer avatar. So, what they're thinking, what they're interested in, which pages they're following, what do you think they're going to be most excited about on a day-to-day basis, really understanding who your customer is. That way you can actually tailor your messaging, but also find the right channels. So if you have any questions up until here, I can take it. Or what do you want to do, Kareem? Do you have any questions?
I don't see any questions in the chat. One second.
Okay.
No questions in the chat, but I would just say, I mean, how important is this part? Like, can you skip it and come back to it later? Like, what are some of the challenges that you run into after, if you don't take care of these first two steps really well? And the second part would be from, because I know we have like a lot of digital marketers in the meeting now, and a lot of them are yes, know a lot more than me, but like, how do you navigate that conversation with a client to show them like this is such an important step before? Because most clients want to see their stuff, they want to post online, they want to get the likes and everything. Yeah. Right?
It's really education. So that's where like like I always lead with these three values. So one is education, execution, and then last one is empathy. Because I find that a lot of female entrepreneurs, or a lot of a lot of people who are in education background, or who kind of are used to doing kind of like more networking, they tend to be more able to communicate that better to their customers. Because the whole idea is, unless you communicate that with your customer beforehand, I've seen so many, because I work with a lot of, I also mentor a lot of digital marketers, and I have like a lot of people coming to me and they're like, oh my God, like, I'm doing my best, I'm working my ass off for my client, but my client's upset at me because, he didn't get any leads, or, but that needs to be communicated, because I find that, especially if your objective is to always increase sale, you do need to go through that whole, customer journey, right? So you have to kind of figure out, okay, how many steps does it take for you to get to the end result, which is a sale, and then help them understand, okay, why you're doing each different activities that they're paying for over the course of. But I think the communication part is where, it tends to, that's where like, people tend to lose their customers, because it's not being communicated. As long as there's, just like a marriage, good marriage, if you have your partner, if you communicate why you're doing something, I think that's when usually you don't run into these trouble, and definitely you can't come back to it. Kareem, you already know this.
Yeah,
so yeah, with target audience, I think it's really important to know who your target audience is, because that will help you in your content marketing. And content marketing a lot of times get overlooked, but content marketing is where you can qualify customers, especially if you don't have a huge budget like to do any paid advertising. Like, you can use content to qualify customers, basically. For example, like, let's go online here, and let's say I write, how to not be a pushy salesperson, right? So I'm just looking for an answer here. So now that I look for this, I look for an answer to this question, I see there's a content here. So when I click on this content, it will take me to a HubSpot, right? And so here, when we look at this, you have to think about what the end result is for HubSpot. What is the benefit for them to provide an answer to me? And this answer qualifies me as I'm someone who works in sales industry. B, I'm someone who's interested in sales, or just like, someone who's just coming new to it. Because with HubSpot, they're you have to remember their product is CRM, so sales CRM, right? So they're ultimately trying to sell you a CRM, a marketing integrated with sales. So if that's the case, how do you qualify a lead organically on search? And one of the best way to do that is through content, because I'm looking for an answer in particular to this specific topic. They're providing an answer very much specific to this topic. And then that's how they qualify me as a lead. Because once I run through this, you'll notice there is call to action all over. So for example, you'll see there is like this, I click on that, they'll take me to another place. They'll ask me for, download, contact name, so they have their own lead magnet spread all over the articles, and they have more content here. So I can really get lost in here, but they're really keeping me captivated as a target audience. So same idea on social media. Like when you have your target audience, when you know who they are, it can really help you pull them in, attract them, qualify them, not just get some randos. Like, you don't want to just become a become an influencer without impact, right? Because if you are an influencer without impact, you have no engagement. Doesn't matter how many numbers you have, but if your engagement ratio is so off, like, what's the point, right? You are not influencing anything. So
yeah, I mean, I think that's the biggest point, is that, yeah, after the numbers, you really need to basically zero in on the people you're trying to help, and the people that you can really help and impact their lives, whether it's business wise or personal. And those connections will be so much stronger and last so much longer.
Exactly. I mean, ultimately we're trying to connect with, we're not trying to be famous. We're trying to run our small businesses and trying to connect with other, people who we can help. So that's exactly my point. And the last one is obviously setting some ways to measure, like whether or not, whether it's success or failure, being able to measure that kind of helps us figure out whether or not our campaign is successful. And I always tell everybody to try something consistent for at least 3 months before you give it up, especially on social media, because I find that there's so many people like that, just especially business owners who don't understand social media. They just come up with, they try it for a couple of days and then they say, okay, you know what, social media doesn't work for me. And that is not the case at all. I think you just have to stick with it. And each month you have to go back and see, okay, is anything working, is something not working? Diversify your content so that it can really help you kind of assess what works and what doesn't work. So that's where we go back to the content ideation process.
There's actually a question.
Okay.
And maybe you might want to answer it after that next slide, but it's, what platforms do you use to plan content for social media editorial?
For me, I actually have a software. It's like I use, so I have a software called eClencher. So I use that. It's $100 USD or something like that per month. But I would recommend, for people who are just doing it for themselves, you can just get a scheduler, like a Hootsuite or Buffer, and just, use that to cater to 3 accounts. Usually I say start with focusing on like maybe 2 or 3 channels. Because even for myself, like, I have a hard time, like also keeping, like the only platform I'm consistent on is LinkedIn right now. Because for me, I've been getting a lot more quality relationships on LinkedIn than any other social media platform. But, especially if you're trying to grow initially, getting into it, especially with the whole quarantine, you're panicking, you're going on social media, like, I need to get online. Then you wanna make sure that you stick with 2 first, or 2 to 3, and then slowly kind of get outside yourself. In terms of planning, I use, so when I was, maybe if it's just for myself, or if it's just for somebody, just your own business, like if you're a solopreneur, then, you just kind of, you can use a Excel sheet, kind of plan it out there. If you need a structure, I can always share some items with you guys. I do have a content marketing workshop on Saturday at 11 o'clock, and it's free. So, for this group. So it's $30, but it's free for anybody who's attended Tech Effect. So I can send that link over to Kareem there. So in terms of the content ideation, so this might also help answer that question. So sometimes it's just a matter of creating a structure for your brain. So for me, I create structure for planning by creating something as simple as this. So this is basically, rather than sitting down and taking this huge load on yourself, figuring out, okay, basically not having any structure. Having this structure can help you kind of identify exactly what kind of content you will post on a day-to-day basis. And then you basically have nothing to think about. Your brain power can be saved every single day, because a lot of the social media posts in the morning, whew, the brain power is gone. And once that brain power is gone, you have to remember social media is essential, but it's not highest on the priority list, especially when it comes to your business, because it needs to be done, but it shouldn't take so for example, if you do it in the morning, that's when most people do it. It takes a lot of your creative power. So then what tends to happen is for the rest of the day, you're gonna be kind of little dead. So unless you do the planning ahead of time, it can really hurt your brain flow, creativity. So you want to make sure that you schedule the content ahead of time. You create you know exactly what to post, even if it's manually, but at least you have it already planned. It can help you greatly. So here is a simple step. So first, you want to sit down. You want to ask yourself, you've done the first portion, which is your objectives, your target audience. You kind of think about, okay, what people like, what people don't like. What do you think your audience is going to be more attracted by? Because that's going to qualify a lot of the leads, right? So what you're going to do is you're going to list that out. Okay, if you're for example, financial counselor or financial advisor, you want to make sure that you already ahead of time kind of assess, okay, most of my target audience, I want to target other women, I want to empower them. So then in that case, you're also selling, part of it is you're selling your culture, right? Who you are as a person. So because a lot of especially with financial advisors, I think it's so personal, and people really especially with your social media, I was looking at it, it's like looks so friendly, looks like feminine but friendly, and a lot of like tips, right? So you have your content pillars, which is going to be like a category. So for instance, if you have salt, pepper, spice, like salt, pepper, and chili, that's all spice. So the content pillar for all the salt, pepper, and chilies would be the spice. So this is your category. So what is your spice? So maybe number one can be tips. Number two can be your culture. Number three can be testimonials. Number four can be maybe events or something like this where you have community partner. And fifth can be inspiration. So you share a story with people. I've tested a lot of different content, and I find that anytime I've shared a story, it's always done really well. Like I've gotten the highest engagement on stories. So after you have your content pillar set, what you're going to do is you're just going to take the first one. So the first one was tips. So I put that here. So tips, and under tips, I'm going to create subtopics. Now I'm going to put out a bunch of different subtopics here. So under tips, I'm going to say, okay, how to, that's the tip. Another one can be 5 ways to save money while you're in school. Another can be how to get rid of your debt. And another one can be, so basically creating subtopic is kind of like content repository. So you basically brain dump, you take it out, take all the juices out when you are alone and have some peace and quiet. And usually this can be done best on like, weekends or when you have time alone. So that's why that's why I'm just showing you how to do this now. And then you can do this afterwards when when you're home, when you're in your own space. And then at the end of the day, you're just going to kind of figure out what is going to be your rhythm. Are you going to post once a week, twice a week, 3 times? And once you know your rhythm, once you know what's going on, you put this content out consistently for a month, you look back, you say, okay, you know what? Maybe I can just post 4 times a week. My people are not online around on Friday. They're out partying, or, they're ready to, close the books. So you can kind of figure that out for yourself. And then you measure, okay, you look at your insights, your Facebook insights, or your Instagram insights. So that's like your seeing like your analytics on your social media platform. It's built in, so you don't even have to go anywhere. You just look there, you just click on audience, and you see, okay, whether they're online or not online during certain times, and then you're gonna click on post. You're gonna see which post did well, which post didn't do so hot. That's it. Super simple. And then you then after that,
Okay,
you just kind of,
sorry, Naima. Yeah,
yeah.
that's super dope. Like, appreciate that so much. So I definitely want you to share the content marketing workshop that you're doing on Saturday, and share links to your stuff in the chat. We had a couple questions. Gisela said check out Social Report. So that's another platform to create your content. She said it's user friendly, works on all social media channels. And then Ryan was asking, when working with a client who has yet to open, how long in advance do you suggest start posting to start posting to establish their presence on social media?
Yeah, that's actually a really good question because I was working with I work with a lot of different tech companies that are not in effect. So for example, was working with a company called Xmatic. So they sell like autonomous parts, but they were doing a lot of pre-sales. So we focused a lot on pre-sale campaigns, and then we focus a lot on social media like ahead of time, just to kind of let people know that we're not dead. And for companies like companies that are launching, more traditional companies, what we so for example, I'm working with a gym right now. It's actually not open yet, but unless you grow your following, it's so hard to convince other people to kind of like, for example, when you do the feature Fridays where you feature other people, like you try to collaborate with other people, it's very hard to get them on board if you don't have an audience, because people are going to be like, okay, who are you featuring me to, right? So even if you have like, even if you can grow the following just in the beginning, it's a great idea. I would do it 3 months or even 6 months ahead. For a company called Six Taxi. So it's an app for Imperial Taxi and Able company. We're working on their app development right now. For them, like before they even got started, we're like, okay, we're gonna start building because it doesn't always have to be social media if it's something that's more B2B, because they're relying more on event spaces and these companies. So depending on what kind of company it is, yeah, you can definitely start basically the wholesome answer is start 3 months, 6 months ahead, just to build the community, like build even the following and build just make sure that you're because that time gives you enough leverage to test different content and see what the interest is like ahead of time, right? Before, because I think there's a lot of times when you just start, when you launch, and then it's very tough to get that buzz that you're looking for when it comes to launch. Like, it's same idea with the events. Like if you don't promote it ahead of time, it's very hard to get everybody on board in the week of the event. What would you say, Kareem?
Yeah, I would say, I think the sooner the better, because again, it's more about, I think the sooner the better. I have questions or like hesitations around the numbers, so it's more about like what number should I aim for, especially if I'm just starting an account from scratch. What's that number that makes people say, is it 1,000? Is it 10,000? Like, oh, now I'll feature on your page or I'll work with you. But I think it goes back to, again, the first part that you said, which is understanding your audience, right? And if you have 10 people, if you're doing real estate and you have 10 people that are serious about buying large property real estate, then hey, if I got 30 people on my page, I'm good to go. You know what I mean? So I think it's like that part of it, but essentially, yeah, I think the sooner the better, of course. So yeah, we have a couple more minutes. So I
Yeah,
want you to,
I'm
yeah.
pretty much done.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so just finish off your points
Yeah.
there, and then also just please remind everybody what you have coming up, all the things you're doing.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah.
So, just to kind of wrap everything up, you can just see it as these 4 segments. I have a blog article on my LinkedIn and on my website. So basically, getting started on social media for business just boils down to these 4 simple steps: research, audience, content marketing, and then metrics. And then this part goes back into your first step, because when you're doing your research, whether you're looking at your competitors, industry leaders, most times when it comes to your social media, you have to look back at yourself and see what worked and what doesn't work, and that's best way to kind of implement effective strategy for your business on social media. Now, to wrap everything up, I do want to give you guys some tools to walk away with from this conversation, so that you can work on your own. So one of the tools that so all the tools are listed kind of at the end. So we have Crowdfire for audience management, similar idea to a lot of these, similar idea to like follower, liker, or other, other automation tools. But Crowdfire, it helps you kind of manage your audience. Like, for example, you can detect inactive audience, and then you can kind of get rid of those because it doesn't serve your social media. And, part of the ways that you end up in someone's discovery feed is, when based on who are following you. So you want to make sure that you have very quality followers, so that you end up in discovery for on people's feed that have similar profile to people who are following you. And the second thing is for, kind of simple posts, canva.com. They have actually not simple, but very easy to use, but design looks amazing on Canva. So drag and drop video content, video shop and InShot, scheduling posts ahead of time, Hootsuite and Buffer. Get the free option. You have to actually Google free option for Hootsuite and Buffer. One disclaimer for Instagram, if you have a business account, then it will automatically post. But if you have a personal account, you actually have to download the post from you have to do it manually, but it'll send you a notification. You download the app on your phone, and then it'll give you a notification. So these tools are great to get started on social media. So hopefully this helps out. And if you have any questions, you can just ask now, and you can connect with me on LinkedIn. I changed this while I was in the conversation earlier, and the worksheets are available on the website. So if you just go on contact, just write social media worksheet, then I can send it to you guys. So thank you so much, Kareem. And if there's any more questions, happy to answer and, kind of mingle.
Yeah, that's cool. Okay, perfect. Amazing. That was great. Thank you. Definitely got to check out your seminar that's coming up. You're gonna stick around for the networking part, right?
Hell yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so people could ask you questions there. Yeah, so that's Nyima, Social Sherpa. Definitely check her out. And now we're going to, so I'm gonna break us off into different groups. It's gonna be random, and then I'm gonna work on getting Hannah, Reggie, and Ali split up into each one of those groups because they're gonna be leading and facilitating. But if everybody can, now's the time to basically unmute yourself, make sure your mic is working. If you've been on like no video, if you're okay to jump on video, jump on video. And yeah, we're just gonna have a couple groups. We're just gonna have like a open conversation for the next 20, 25 minutes. Pitch yourself, pitch your brand, answer whatever question on that list, whatever group you fall into. I'm gonna give you guys numbers. So Reggie, you'll be 1. Hannah, you'll take 2. Ali, you'll take 3. And I'll just put the questions back up on the. Actually, I'll post it in the chat. Here for everyone. Okay. All right, so I'll see you in the next room, guys.
These are intense questions.
Okay, so you should be getting an invite to join.